What's going on YouTube? It is Texans Takeover here, back with another video. In today's video, we have another one of the offseason simulator videos for the Houston Texans. Obviously, you can see we're at negative 7 million. I don't know how we got to that number. We're at negative 4 right now. Maybe it's because of the Titus Howard deals, Juice Scruggs, Dave Montgomery deals, that it's a little bit different. But as I just said, Dave Montgomery, Titus Howard, Juice Scruggs, we've been very active so far. Prior to free agency, which opens in about 6 days. I believe March 9th is the legal tampering period, and then it truly begins the 11th on a Wednesday is the beginning of the new league year. But you can start negotiating with players March 9th. As you know, Texans have traded for David Montgomery, gave up a fourth, a seventh, and Drew Scruggs. And then we also traded Titus Howard for a fifth at pick number 139. So moved back 11 spots basically to pick up David Montgomery and give Drew Scruggs in a seventh. But you lose Titus Howard in the process. Some people aren't big fans of that. I'm not really either, but hopefully Casario does have a plan. And Aaron Wilson went on live today, and it seems like the Texans do have somewhat of a plan to combat that. Again, we are going to restructure Derek Stingley. It should be around the 17 million mark standard. So that's why I am just going to add the void year to get that extra cap space. Same with Nico Collins, it should be around 16, 15. So the void years would do that. Obviously, Titus Howard is going to be traded. Jalen Petrie, I think you could look to restructure for 5.5. I think is fair. Uh, Daniil Hunter, I think you look to extend and restructure at about 35 million a year. I think is fair. That it does free up some cap space for you too. Joe Mixon's obviously going to be cut. We have heard about the Texans wanting to extend Aziz. 14.7 is fair value in my opinion. So that is what we do. Dalton Schultz, I haven't. They said they haven't heard anything about extension for him, so I am just going to hold off there. Apparently, we do like Sam Roosh from Stanford as a potential option. 45 for Will Anderson Jr. is very fair. You could go all the way up to 57 if you wanted to, but 45.3, I like the idea of. You can see for some reason extending only. Still adds to this year's cap hit, so I am just going to restructure because it's slightly cheaper, but we still do lose 10 million in the process there. Kaimi is going to be re-signed in my opinion. I don't think he'll get 8 million. I think 6.9 is very fair for him. Does free up slight bit of cap space. Mario Edwards Jr. apparently is not a cut candidate. His spot is likely safe in Houston just due to the lack of defensive alignment that we do have. Obviously, Tim Settle, Foley Fatukasi are hitting the open market. Kurt Heinisch is a cut candidate due to him not playing last year. Justin Watson is likely to stay, actually. Team likes him as a special teams option. Tremont Smith as well, but I am going to free up that 3.5 million. I think that's a very lucrative deal for a special teams guy, but at the same time, special teams is a very important facet of the game. Um, so maybe you want to keep him there because he was some solid depth at corner too. Um, but if we do keep on going on, we did cut Jimmy Ward, um, and then I think the idea of Jarrett Patterson being cut right now, I'm gonna side against it. Um, and then I think that's it for now. Could you free up some more money potentially? Obviously, yes. Titus Howard's going to be a big free in this in terms of trading him. Uh, Look at the smart suggestions, I guess. I mean, Marty Edwards, I just feel like should be a cut candidate, but I guess not. Obviously, if you restructure or extend um, him to what he got in real life, which was 21, it saves $5 million still there. Um, but we are just going to go next to the trades, and Zach Charbonnet is the only one that is available to us. Obviously, we are just going to put Titus Howard over to Cleveland for a fifth round pick at pick number 139. Is it? There it is. Offer that trade. Gonna have to force it, and then if we build our own here, we are going to give up Juice Scruggs a fourth and a seventh, and it was 128, and then the next year's seventh for where's Detroit, Mr. David Montgomery. Um, there he is. Offer this, force it. And we will extend him actually, because I think the Texans will do that in real life. I think he'll get around 7.5, so 7.6 is fine for me. And we're up to about 70 million in cap space headed into the offseason. Obviously, the Titus Howard trade did free up a lot more cap space, but there's a lot of cap savings in that deal, so that is a big reason as to why we did retain Jamarcus Ingram's free agent rights. I am going to re-sign Tommy Townsend here. I think if you could make it slightly cheaper, is that fair? Okay. Save some extra money there, just slight, but even then, money's money. So I'll take it all day of the week. Oh, also on the cap management, we are looking to extend Sheldon Rankin, so I think you could do an extend and restructure here. He's not going to get all that. He's going to get around 7.5, I think, in my opinion. So there's that. But we head over to free agency, and Christian Kirk is likely to leave. Derek Barnett, I think that's very lucrative for him, so I'll hold back. EJ Speed, 7 million is really fair for him, in my opinion. And okay, good money spent there on EJ Speed. It's likely to be a 2-year deal, according to Aaron Wilson. So that is why he was signed. Darian Gobwale is apparently a extension candidate. So is Trent Brown. We'll revisit this because there's a tackle that the Texans are looking at that I think is a really intriguing option. Um, I mean, Derek Barnett, man, can you get him for 7? 7.4 is the highest I go. Okay, yeah. We'll walk away from that and head over to free agency, where the Texans are obviously looking at someone that I've talked about a lot in Cade Mays, 13.1 from Las Vegas. I think the Texans give him a 3-year deal. We'll go 13.2, and it is accepted. So we'll confirm that there. And then the other one that the Texans are looking at is actually a very big piece on the offensive line, and he resides in Indianapolis right now, but he will potentially become a Texan, according to reports. Uh, and where is he? Is he just not here? Hmm. There's his teammate. Interesting. Well, I guess I'll just have to search his name then. Um, oh, there he is, actually. Mr. Brandon Smith of the Indianapolis Colts. I hear 13 million is actually what the market value in real life might actually be. Obviously, it won't be that in this cap simulator, but that's fine. Can you get away with 14.5? No. Can you get away with 15.5? You can. Okay, perfect. And that leaves us with 28 million to go spend in free agency after getting 2 key pieces there. I heard Wyatt Teller is also someone that has interest in Houston. So if you can get him on a 1-year deal for $4 million, I'm doing that all day of the week. Uh, and he does accept that, so that's perfect. Um, so Trent Brown is not going to be re-signed in this because we were able to get Braden Smith. Uh, so now you just look elsewhere. You look to improve the depth on your team, and I think you start off with like someone like a Logan Hall on the defensive line that you can look for, a young piece. We'll go to the top of the defensive line to see what options there are. Jamont Jones potentially could be a good piece, but I really like the idea of a Logan Hall here. Obviously, John Franklin Myers I'd like, but I think it's too expensive for how much we allocated towards the offensive line in this free agency. Um, yeah, I think Logan Hall is going to be my guy that I do go after. Just because I really like the market value of this. I think that's very fair to how much he's going to get in real life. I think if you can get him for 4.5, then it'd be fair. Maybe 4.7, 4.8. All right, 4.8. Fair enough. Uh, you see, I'd rather Logan Hall than a Fadakasi rather than Tim Settle for that price. Maybe Naquan Jones I'd prefer, but we head over to the safeties now, and we're looking for another cheap option here just to come in and be some depth. Andre Cisco obviously stands out right away. I think that's someone the Texans should look after this free agency. I really like his game, and I think he could. He still has a lot of development left, and I think if you can develop him properly, then he'll be a very good player. Can you get him for 3? Maybe actually 2.9. All right, Andre Cisco for 2.9. Very fair there. And then, you could look to an RB3 here. Um, someone down the board, like a Jerome Ford, um, like a Bam Knight. Um, Maybe you bring Damian Pierce back. Um, but I think we killed this free agency. I think it's came to be a really good free agent class. Um, if there are some pieces that you want to bring back, like another, or not bring back, but bring in like another edge rusher to provide some depth there, then you certainly could look at that. Maybe like a Jacob Martin there. Um, who else do I like here? Kingsley Kiki. Um, I mean, Aziz is going to get paid, I think, more than that at least. David Ojabo, I really like. And I think you can develop him into a decent player. So I am actually going to do that. He was hurt, so I think he could accept that, and he does. So that's another edge piece that you could look at. We did bring back EJ Speed in this, so I don't think you really need to bring in a linebacker unless you want to look at a young piece that you could maybe utilize as a special teams option, um, like these depth guys down here. I like the idea of Isaiah Simmons as a special teams option or Garrett Wallow. Um, Micah McFadden, I actually really like. Um, Logan Wilson was cut. So maybe you could bring him in. But you're looking for special teams guys at this position. Um, Landon Roberts, I think, is a very solid player. Had a really good year in Las Vegas. I think they'll bring him back though. Uh, so we'll hold off on that for now. I think you could look to bring back. Where'd he go? I cut him, so he's definitely here. Tavier Thomas. It's a funny one. D'Angelo Ross. Where'd he go? Do I have to search him up? I guess so. Oh, okay. I guess he's not here. Miles Bryant, I think if the Texans could look to resign, I think he's an intriguing piece. I think 3.5 is fair for him. I guess not in this though. 3.8, I'll do it. Why not? Uh, and then yeah, I think we're fine here to be honest. You know, you look to all the options available, and you look to the options that we have leaving. Obviously Ed Ingram is going to be a lot more expensive than just 10 million a year. Derek Barnett, man, I actually really like him. So maybe on a 1 year deal, I'll give him 7.5. That's fair. I'll do that, and that's how we'll round out our free agency. And we'll continue to the draft here. Obviously, the full draft. We'll speed this up just a little bit. Um, and David Bailey goes in the top four. No offensive lineman yet. Um, and if Vega nope. Okay. I was gonna say if he gets past the Ravens, then that's a deal I'm going to look to pursue. Maui Noah's still there. I think this is going to be Kenyon Sadiq. Maui Noah goes 17 to the Lions. I think that's a very fair spot for him. And here at 28, Freeling just goes there. I think it's going to be a trade down, maybe. Um, I need. Mm, I think the trade that I saw with Arizona is actually a very nice trade. Um, for 34 and 104. I think that's very fair. Uh, Obviously, there's been some things that happen like this. I think that's fair. So I am going to force this because obviously the Giants gave us value like this. So maybe the Cardinals want to move back up into the first round, which I think there's potential for that. And they do get a wide receiver, which they do need. In Casey Concepcion, um, they could have gone with Indian Achour, which is why I thought they would trade up, but they didn't. But we moved down to 34 and pick up another pick here at, was it 65? Or, yeah, it was 65. Uh, so we have a lot of picks in the second round as of now. Um, Gave up a fifth round pick. We know Casario doesn't like the fifth round. But here at 34, I don't know where you look at your depth chart. Um, I would like to see my depth chart. Is that it? No. Depth chart, depth chart, depth chart. Commands, no. Um, where's okay? I guess you can't see the depth charts on here, but here at 34, you don't need a Blake Miller. You've already addressed your tackle position, getting Braden Smith. You've already addressed one guard by getting Wyatt Teller. You need a right guard, or Wyatt Teller can play right guard, obviously. But I think Caleb Banks would be a great pick here at 38, or 34, excuse me. And then at 38, I think you could look to safety. I don't think Dylan Tinneman's going to be there, so I'm not going to make that selection. I don't know how far Caleb Banks falls. I think he could be, all the way up here. I think he could be all the way down here. I really don't know. Some people like him, some people don't like him. You can see he's kind of been up and down, fluctuating a lot. Um, so for now, I think it's a very fair spot for Caleb Banks to be around the 28 to 34 range. And in this, he's available at 34, so I'm going to pull the trigger all day of the week. Here at 38, obviously, if I could pull the trigger on Dylan Tinneman, I would, but I'm not going to. I am going to go with an offensive lineman here. I'm not going to go with Emmanuel Pregnon. I am going to go with Chase Basantis there. I just really like his game. I prefer him to Pregnon, to be honest. I think he's, more well rounded, and I think that's something the Texans should certainly look after. The well rounded guys. Um, Pass protection's his best asset. He's one of the best pass protectors in this class, but yeah, I don't know. I guess they don't really rate him in this. I really do. I think he's one of the best players in this class on the offensive line. I think he should be drafted higher than Pregnon, so that's exactly what I did. Um, and, just a very solid pass protector that's going to be at that left guard position. And then you move White Teller to the right. So your offensive line now looks like Ursery, Basantis, Mays, Teller, and Smith, which I think is a really, really solid unit headed into next year. And I think if that's Casario's plan, then I'm all for it. Because apparently there's some interest from White Teller to come to Houston, and the Texans are interested as well. So if it's mutual, bring him in. And I think everyone will be happy with that. Oh, uh, well, um, Genesis Smith went to Arizona, not Arizona State. So that's kind of um, probably going to make some people mad there. Uh, but here at 59, I am just going to pull the trigger on Jake Rodriguez. I really like him as a player. I think a lot of people do. Um, I think that, you know, the production in college can't be, understated. And I think he's a great fit in Houston to really back up an EJ Speed or come in to replace Henry To'oTo'o when his deal eventually expires after next year. So I think it's an easy pick if he's available there at 59, which I think he might actually be. I don't know what the range for Jacob Rodriguez is. Some people have him in the third, some people have him in the second. I think late second is fair. Sorry, I'm still a little bit sick if you can't tell by my voice. But yeah, I like Jacob Rodriguez. I like Josiah Charter a lot. Um, just a traditional athletic linebacker. Um, he's very fast. It's not just explosiveness, but um, yeah, lateral agility, reliable tacker, high motor, explosive. So, you know, there's that. I really like Josiah Trotter as a prospect, but I like Jacob Rodriguez due to his production. Uh, just a ball hawk, a really good coverage guy at the linebacker position, which I think the Texans do really need. Um, so that is why that pick lands there. Here at 65, I'm going to pull the trigger on a tight end with Mr. Max Clare out of Ohio State. Think he's a really good player, and I think he's a good blocker at the tight end position. We heard something today about the potential of a Sam Roosh. Texans really like him as a blocker, so maybe that's something they explore in the draft. We heard they met with Chase Basantis as well, but obviously meetings don't mean as much as top 30 visits. Don't pick again till 106, so this could be either a Jennings Dunker or a trade down. I really like the idea of a Jennings Dunker, but ooh, 77 to 116, it's going to have to be. Um, and Jennings Dunker does go there, which is a little unfortunate, but I do like the trade down that I had there. Dominique Orange does go, which is a little unfortunate as well, but um, you can't have everyone in the draft that you like. Here at 77, maybe you reach on a Keelan Rutledge, maybe you go with a Billy Strouth. I don't really like the options here, to be honest, considering there's a lot better options. I think here at this range where Miami is, are there any trades? 98 and 122. Eh. Give up 77. Can I move with the Dolphins to 87 and pick up 149 by 1 point? Okay. Uh, we'll go back to the Dolphins. I think this is a very fair spot to trade for. Maybe 90. I'll do 90. Okay, so I'm literally giving them more value than I'm just gonna force it because it's value wise. I think this is very fair. Maybe you throw in like a seventh, and maybe if I propose this, okay, it is accepted without even forcing it. I think that's fair. So you move down to 90, pick up 149, and hopefully some of our guys that we want are still there, and they are. Mr. Keelan Rutledge is still available. I'm gonna pull the trigger on that all day of the week. I think he's a really good backup offensive lineman that has a really good mentality. If we were to look to the offensive line again, um, and sorry, I don't know if you heard that from my headphones or not. They kind of just did something weird. But yeah, I really like him as an offensive lineman. You can see he's a mauler. I think that's a great word uh, to describe Keelan Rutledge with. You know, plays through whistle, I think, is another big thing. He's got that sort of mentality on the offensive line, and I think the Texans are really going to value that. And I think they're going to look to bring him in, to be honest. I think, that's something that the Texans really want to instill in their offensive line. And Rutledge definitely does that. And I think, if you're able to bring in a White Teller to coach up a Caleb Rutledge, a Chase Bisontis, and then he leaves after 1 year while allowing Rutledge and Basantis to develop. Then I think he did a great job there, and I think that's a really good plan. And I think this draft has been so good so far. I think this whole thing has been working out really well. Here at 106, we haven't addressed the safeties, and the Texans did meet with the Zaki Whitley at the combine, so I am just going to pull the trigger there. I think it shouldn't be understated who you meet with in the combine. To be honest, you know I guess the formal meetings, and we did have a formal meeting with Zaki Whitley, I believe. Um, but you can see he's just very instinctive. If you want to, sorry, I'll hold this if you want to read this. I know some people ask for me to hold these at the screen more, but very instinctive player. Uh, has the ability to play at single high. I think he's a perfect complement to a Kalen Bullock. If he's able to flow downhill, be proactive in the run game. Some people at the safety position aren't. Zaki Whitley certainly is. You can see the size there at 6'3", 203. Um, and actually, I'll take y'all back to all the other picks to see the strengths and weaknesses because I know that's something someone asked me to do in these videos. So I'll revise. Back to Kevin Rutledge, you can see Mahler 0 sacks, allowed top 10 nationally. First team All American. I actually did not know that. That's very impressive, actually. Um, I believe he did wrestling, and that's why it says he's a multi-sport athlete. But yeah, an incredible player, just a mauler. I think he's definitely going to be on the ascend. You can see he started at 329 and then moved all the way up to the spot that he is now at. I believe that it was 92. It says it up there. But you can see the weaknesses there. I'll hold it for a little bit just for y'all to see. I think he's a really good player, though, and I think the Texans would be lucky to have him. Um, Especially as a development piece. And if we go up, Max Clare, you can see the strengths and weaknesses. Best route runner. I think it's, I don't know. Kenyon Sadiq or Claire have the best route runner, but Claire is a very good receiver at the same time. He is, a really good blocker in my opinion. I think there's work to be done because he started out Purdue as mainly a pass catcher, but this past year at Ohio State he turned into a really really good blocker. But as you can see, as a weakness, it's been unreliable. I think it's just inconsistent because of what he's been asked to do. Um, that's really all. I think he's really really good as a blocker and a um, pass catcher, but I can see why people would say he's inconsistent um, just due to what he was asked to do at Purdue compared to Ohio State. Jake Rodriguez, again, undersized, lacks power. I don't, yeah, I guess. Uh, he's a really good coverage linebacker, though. The completion rate is because a lot of it is checkdowns, in my opinion. You can see the awards he won. Um, just basically a quarterback at the linebacker position. And he ran really well at 4.57 in the combine. Basantis going to be a lot of strengths and weaknesses. I don't know why. Uh, Day 3 projection. Uh, in 2024, okay, as a sophomore. So I think this is a lot of technicality stuff, in my opinion. You can see the rise. I guess they just don't rate him on this website, to be honest. But I think he's a really good player. One of the best pass blockers. Uh, with yeah, this is AI dominant in the run game. He's known for his pass blocking prowess rather than the run game prowess. So there is that. But Caleb Banks going to be a lot of weaknesses just because of his lack of game time. Pad level is the big thing that I've talked about uh, with Caleb Banks. But if he can, fix that, start lower, and then eventually get higher, then he's got the athleticism, he's got the size to really be a mauler in the NFL. And I think the Texans would love to have him here on the defensive line. And I think a rotation of uh, Mario Edwards, Tommy Togiai, Caleb Banks, and Logan Hall is a really good one. And then on the edge, you've got obviously Will Anderson, Daniel Hunter, and then you brought in David Ojabo. You still have um, Derek Barnett too available to you here in the fourth round. I believe this is at 116, which I believe we picked up from the Arizona Cardinals. Chris McClellan's obviously a standout here. Sam Hecht too. I believe he's going to go a lot earlier than that. Um, Zane Durant's an incredible athlete. Uh, Jamon Claiborne could be someone you look at. Who's at the edge position to come provide some depth? Kieran Crawford I actually really like. I think Max Llewellyn's a really intriguing prospect. And do we have a pick around that range? No, we don't. Um, so here at what are we at 116? I'm just gonna pull the trigger on Chris McClellan. I think he's a rare athlete at the position. Um, and I'll scroll back, excuse me, to show y'all him 6'4", 313. He's really unique. Chris McClellan is. He's got really good hands, but really good I don't know how to explain it. He's got good balance, but good explosiveness. I guess is the way to put it. I'd like instead of I guess that's something I can ask him to do, but instead of 40s for the defensive lineman and offensive lineman, I'd like their 10-yard split to be shown to y'all, just because I think it shows the explosiveness that a D lineman and offensive lineman should have. But yeah, he's a really good prospect, Chris McClellan, and the Texans had a formal meeting. We were the first team that actually met with him at the NFL Commons, so I do think there's some interest from the Texans, obviously. But again, meetings don't mean everything. We'll see if he's invited to a top 30 visit. I would expect him to be. And you can see he's probably been a major riser. He has had a good year at Missouri and just got really good physical tools for the NFL, excuse me. And I think the Texans will certainly value that and try to pull the trigger there. Here at 139, I mean, this is just incredible value that you can't pass up on. At 143, yeah, you move down a couple spots, pick up a great pick there. Sam Roosh is still available. It's hard to say no to that. Um, but Texans don't like drafting in the fifth round. I think Jalen Kilgore is a really good player, though. And I think he will go a lot higher than this, in my opinion. I think he could be a day two guy. So I'm going to pull the trigger there just because I think he could utilize the safety depth. Um, and, you have a rotation now of Whitley and Kilgore, and then you have Andre Cisco backing up uh, Kalen Bullock, excuse me. Here at 149, again, not really a pristine position to draft at or to have a pick at for Nick Cassari. He doesn't like to be in these positions. Max Llewellyn's obviously someone that I've been eyeing for a while. We're here at 185. I think I do want to trade out of this pick. 165 is perfect. Um, so we'll do that. And I've been talking about it for a while. This is going to be Mr. Max Llewellyn here. I think he's got really good physical tools for the NFL. That's what I keep talking about. And this is a lot of players in this draft, in my opinion. I think the Texans won't be drafting this many players, but just the way the board's fallen with the trades up and trades down, I think this is what we can see. But you can see the strengths and weaknesses there. You can see the height and weight. He's got really long arms as well. Uh, and oh, okay, this is how you see it. 32-inch arms for an edge rusher is very solid. 115 inches, I'm guessing, is what that means, which would be nearly 10 feet. But yeah, really good prospect. Um, and has a really good pass rush bag is the way to put it. Here at 182, I am just going to trade out of these next two spots, I think, um, and pick up some picks in the next year draft, unless obviously there's value that you can't pass up on. Uh, Maybe like a Bryce Lance, who's a really good athlete, or a Markel Bell, who can be a backup tackle for you. Actually, yeah, he can be a backup tackle for you, so I am going to do it. But here I will trade out of this spot for next year. Maybe like a 6 and a 7 the next year. We'll do from the Commanders, and they're willing to do that. So you pick up some extra capital from next year. But yeah, I think we've made a lot of selections in this draft, to be honest. So apologies there, but it was just kind of the way it went. Uh, and we wait till 244. Marlon Klein's available. That's obviously an intriguing one, just because the Texans have interest in him. I like the idea of Jimmy Rolder. Um, I would really like the idea of him Max Bredesen, and he is available, so I am just going to make the pick here. Um, Receiving production, he's a fullback, so you're not really looking for the receiving production. You're not really looking for him to be athletic or be a tight end or be a dynamic playmaker. Um, yeah, exceptional lead blocker. Uh, he's a fullback. He's not a tight end. He's not a running back. He's a fullback in the NFL. Um, and he's going to be a great player in the NFL for a team that does utilize a fullback. You can see it fluctuate a lot just because it's really hard to value fullback. But I am going to make the pick there at 244 to round out our draft because I think any team is going to love um, a Max Bredesen, excuse me. Um, and does it show who I drafted? It does. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11 picks is quite rich. Um, but I really like all of these players. I think the one you could excuse is Jalen Kilgore and Marco Bell. So if you want it to be narrowed down to 9, remove Kilgore and Bell. It was really just the way that it did pan out. And now you can simulate next season. I hope it does actually. Oh, okay. So can you like alter so you can't change who's first? Um, Okay, well, let's see. Let's see how I did. If we simulate the next season, 11-6, and we win the division at the 3 seed. Got Buffalo at home, which is an intriguing matchup, and we lost actually. Seattle wins the Super Bowl again. Um, so yeah, that is how it ended up going. We were the 3 seed. We won the division, but lost in the first round of the playoffs, which I don't think is really acceptable with where we're at right now. But yeah, let me know what y'all thought about this video. I'll go back just so y'all can see what we did um, in free agency. Um, Extended a lot of guys. Um, Dave Montgomery included in there too. Uh, Trades, obviously the trades that we've done already, and then we've signed all these guys here. Ingram, Townsend, Speed, May, Smith, Teller, Hall, Cisco, Ojabo, Bryant, Barnett, um, and then drafted all these guys here. So let me know what y'all think down in the comment section below. I thought this went great, but obviously y'all are going to be entitled to y'all's own opinions as well. So let me know again down in the comment section below. If you did enjoy this video, please be sure to like, subscribe, and as always, it's Texans Takeover, and I'm out. Peace.